Welcome guys, and thank you for spending some time with me. I am Chrysalis, and this is Women on Wrestling Editorials, otherwise known as WWEU. Just so that you are aware, if this is the first time you're watching this video, I happen to be an avid pro wrestling fan, and since I didn't see a lot of women representation for reviews and such on the shows after the fact, I thought it was time that I filled that niche just a little bit and gave you a bit of a female perspective on the world of sports entertainment. This is going to be our weekly review wherein I review the episodes of Smackdown and Raw. This particular week's episode is going to be focused on the Smackdown and Raw after Wrestlemania and all the things of the fallout therein. Along with my review, I'm going to be giving you what I'm going to call my hits and misses for now. I may change the wording of that later on down the road once I find something more appropriate, but I'm basically going to highlight the things that I liked and didn't like about this week's Raw and Smackdown episodes. There are quite a few things to go over this week following WrestleMania 36. We had some great things that happened in the episodes following, and we had some things that were just kind of as well as some things I just didn't like overall. I'm going to be jumping around between SmackDown and Raw with my hits and misses this week because a couple of things correspond to each other. At this particular point in time, I don't have it written down on my notes whether it was on a Raw or SmackDown episode, so I apologize for that in advance, but bear with me as I go through my misses and my hits. I'm going to start off with the misses first because I do prefer to go over the bad news and then finish it up with the good news because I like to end on a high note whenever possible. My first miss for this particular week happens to be the Drew McIntyre versus Big Show match. I didn't feel that it fit with where it was placed. It didn't make any sense to me storyline-wise to have this happen immediately after Drew had just won the belt from Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I feel that this is a particular match that could have been plugged into a show and it would have been just fine on its own. And I know that's been something that's been opinionated on other channels as well, and I completely agree with that. It didn't make sense. There wasn't really anything storyline driven to it as to why Big Show was all of a sudden being inserted into Drew's narrative, other than the fact that you got two big large guys in the ring. Match-wise, I liked the match better than Drew's match with Brock Lesnar because it was longer. It was a better match overall and showcased everybody's abilities a little bit better, in my opinion. But just storyline-wise, it didn't make sense with where it was placed or why it was interjected into the show to begin with. I'm going to be curious to see how that plays out and if there is going to be any follow-up on it. I'm kind of hoping that there is to have this make sense, but I don't have a lot of hope for that moving into the future. So that's why that's a miss for me this week. Another thing that was a miss for me this week was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defending their titles in a rematch against the Kabuki Warriors. We had that literally just the night before because I'm pretty certain that this was a Raw match. And because of that, it just felt... It might have been SmackDown. I could be wrong there. But regardless, it just felt like we had just seen it. It had just happened. It would have been nice to have had a different tag team go against Alexa and Nikki, even if it wasn't a title match. I know later on in the show, Dana Brooke and Carmella approached them about having a match, and that just kind of seems rather rushed and thrown together, sort of like a, hey, let's see who we can throw together real quick so we can try to beef up the women's tag division, and that doesn't make any sense to me. I really do wish that WWE Creative would put more into the women's roster as a whole. In my opinion, there shouldn't be a men's and women's roster. You should just have performers. Writing for women and writing storylines for women is literally no different than writing a storyline for a guy. So in my opinion, it feels like this is all rushed, and the women's tag divisions as well, there's very little to choose from there to begin with, which is unfortunate because they have so much talent on the women's division between Raw and SmackDown and NXT that they could very easily build a solid, talented roster on any of the shows, both for singles competition and for tag competition, and have it go over well. So unfortunately, that was another storyline for me that was a miss this week. The last miss that I had that I wanted to make note of was the Street Profits versus Angel Garza and Austin Theory. Again, to kind of go along with the women's tag championships, we had just seen that. Now, this kind of segues into the hits for me because what this did do is showcase more Zelina Vega, and that's something I would like to see more. I know in this particular episode, it seems like I'm really kind of harping on the women's division as it is, but honestly, that is a whole, like I said, that is a whole area of untapped talent that the WWE is just not using well. Obviously, we know that they have issues with using their male talent well as it is, so it shouldn't be surprising that the female talent is being underutilized. But it was nice to see Zelina being used more. What I didn't like about the Street Profits and Bianca Belair, since she got pulled into this as well, against Austin Theory and Angel Garza and Zelina, was that, again, it felt rushed. It felt like, okay, we're going to start off with a tag team match between the guys. And then, hey, Zelina's going to interfere. Bianca's going to run in. And then we're going to segue to Bianca versus Zelina. Okay, we could have just left it there and that would be fine. But then, no. We're now going to turn this into a 6-person intergender tag match. It felt like, hey, we need to stretch this as long as we possibly can. So what exactly can we do? Oh, well, we'll just do what we did the other night and add some more to it. Now, on one hand, like I said, we got more Zelina. It was great to see Zelina in the ring. She needs to be used more. It was great to see Bianca in the ring and being used on the main roster. Loved to see that. Loved to see that interaction of it. In my opinion, what it should have been is either a 6-person intergender tag match to start off with, or we should have just started off with the tag match, Bianca and Zelina finish it up as a singles match and be done with it. At this particular point in time, I do want to see more of those stables going against each other, but it needs to be done in a way that's cohesive and makes sense, and this just felt a lot more like filler to me. So that's going to also segue me into the other hits that I had for this week. I will start off the other hits that I had for the week with the match between Liv Morgan and Asuka. Now, first of all, we need to give Asuka a round of applause because that woman is pulling double duty by performing on both SmackDown and on Raw, one as a singles competitor, the other as a tag team competitor with Kairi Sane. What I liked about this match is that Asuka got the win. Asuka has been an indomitable force within the wrestling world for quite some time, and for the longest time now, she's been basically putting everyone else over and losing. So it is so good to see that she's actually getting that sort of clout back that she's had taken away from her for whatever reason. In addition to that, it also gave Liv a really good opportunity to again showcase more of her talents. She's being utilized more. I'm glad to see that, and I'm hoping that in some way, shape, or form this might push her into a storyline long term with another competitor down the line. So I'm glad to see that match happen. The other hit that I had was the continuation of the Otis Mandy Rose Heavy Machinery storyline with Dolph Ziggler and Sonya Deville. This is being handled exceptionally well, guys, from a storyline standpoint. We had the payoff at WrestleMania where Otis finally got the girl. Now we're getting the storyline payout of the fallout of that. Mandy Rose was Sonya Deville's best friend. Whether Dolph was truly interested in Mandy, nobody really knows. But regardless, we're getting that payoff. Sonya and Dolph work exceptionally well together, and I'm glad to see them kind of tied together as a heel package. I like the direction that that's going in. Dolph, again, is another one of those talents that he is extremely technical in the ring. He is underutilized in that way, but even more so, the man's mic skills and his charisma outside of the ring is exceptional. And I'm glad to be seeing that being used, and I think that's going to help elevate Sonya's abilities as well. I liked the fact that they put Tucker in by himself this week so that he could go against Dolph and kind of even some things out amongst the two of them. I'm going to be curious to see how the Otis and Mandy storyline is going to affect Heavy Machinery as a tag team. I want to keep them together. I would like to see it so that they are actually amplified by Mandy and that Mandy's abilities are brought in more as well, not just as a valet or a manager in that way, shape, or form, but in the ring. And as well, just kind of, I don't want to see a storyline where Mandy comes in, Otis has gotten the girl, we've gotten the payoff there, and now a really awesome tag team is split up. That would be horrible. I don't want to see that. But right now, with the way this storyline is being handled, it's a huge hit for me, and I'm enjoying it. Before I go into my final hit for the week, I do want to go over a couple of that I had as well. The first one being Seth's match. I apologize in advance. I didn't get the performer's name that he was put in the ring with this week. Obviously, it is someone that doesn't have, they're from NXT if I'm not mistaken, and they're not used as much. And again, I apologize. I don't watch NXT and I need to start. I know that. But this whole focus was supposed to be on the wrath that Seth is feeling having lost to KO at WrestleMania. What I think would have done better for that and amplified that more is if he had been put in the ring against, say, Apollo Crews instead of Apollo Crews going against Aleister Black. I love Aleister Black. I thought his match with Apollo was a very solid match. It wasn't a hit or a miss because it was just there and it was well done and it was just good wrestling. But there was no storyline to it. There was nothing to get me invested in it. To continue the storyline with Seth being the Monday Night Messiah and having not turned into a god like he promised everyone he was going to do, it would have been nice to have seen him go up against somebody with a little bit more of a reputation behind them. I think that would have put that over a little bit more, so that was more of an eh for me. The other was honestly the return of Nia Jax. Now, I didn't get to see Nia Jax's career up until this point. I wasn't watching wrestling during that time, but I have seen some things in retrospect, and the woman is really a force to be reckoned with. There's a lot of things that she is able to do in the ring that it feels like it's much more believable, not just because of her family background, but just because of who she is, who she physically is. And she embraces that, which is good to see. She's obviously been off for the last year, having recuperated from double knee surgery, and that's a huge thing to come back from, so I give her complete, total, utter round of applause for that. But I think how she was reintroduced was not beneficial for her in any way, shape, or form. They could have utilized her a lot better. They could have put her into some other storyline, interjected her in there that would have made much more of an impact, particularly being reintroduced after WrestleMania into an arena that doesn't have an audience or a crowd to kind of get that pop. And I think that in that way, shape, or form, it was just more of an it could have been done better. But my final hit for the week is definitely Braun now having the belt and now going against Bray. This whole thing about putting Braun in for Roman, with Roman backing out of WrestleMania, makes a lot more sense now. And honestly, I think I like this storyline a lot more than I would have if Roman had gotten the belt. It makes more sense. We all know that Roman was supposed to get the belt off Goldberg so that eventually it was going to go back to Bray, but how they were going to do that remained to be seen, and I'm not sure how it would have been handled. This particular storyline, though, I'm already invested in. I know that Braun and Bray have a ton of history behind them. There's that familiarity there. Braun has been underutilized. There are strengths and talents that he has had that he has not been able to use because he's been kind of put into the whole big man, strong man, bam, bam, crush type persona. So to now be able to see him kind of embrace those things and embrace those strengths and be able to use them against Bray, it makes a lot more sense, and I am now invested. So that is probably my biggest hit for the week, and I'm glad to kind of see that payoff actually happening. On a final note, there's a couple of other things that I would like to go over, and that happens to be some of the drama that's going on right now within the WWE. The first, obviously, was that Ryan Satin had basically snitch tweeted a bit of a interview that Ronda Rousey had where she was completely bashing the WWE and how ungrateful we all are and things of that nature. Now, quite a few people aren't sure if this is kayfabe and she is just doing a work in order to kind of promote herself as a heel coming back in. Other people think that this is a complete total shoot and this is the way she really feels. You can be of both minds, and I will completely understand why. I personally think that it's a work, and if it is absolutely genius and being handled amazingly well. We've already gotten a reaction from Becky, which had me dying over in my seat, and then we also have a reaction from Nia. So we're getting reactions from both, reactions from a different perspective as well. But I'm just glad to see how that's being played out right now, and I'm going to be really curious to see how that actually happens. If this is a shoot, then the woman shouldn't be let back into the locker room, because who knows what's going to happen to her if she gets let back in. And honestly, if it's a shoot, she shouldn't be wrestling and she should just stay with her family. However, if this is a work, it's amazing, and I'm already on the edge of my seat waiting to see where it goes. I also am on the edge of my seat waiting to see what the reactions are going to be. The other thing happens to be that the WWE is going to be going back to doing as live as they can shows. Now, this is getting a lot of animosity online already as I am filming this, because people just feel like it is not at the best interest of the performers or anyone else at the performance center, and I think we can all agree that that would be the case. However, I'm going to make an argument for the other side of that. My argument for it is this. Obviously, with this global pandemic going on right now, there are a lot of things going on, and there are a lot of companies that are shuttering doors or completely going out of business in some way, shape, or form. The XFL is a good example of that already, since that particular season has been canceled and quite a few layoffs have happened within the XFL. What I think we all need to do is just slow down and take a breath. I know Ryback posted a tweet basically stating that he would like all of the performers and all of the wrestlers to stand up and in unison and refuse to work. I'm going to try to put that tweet up in here if I can. If not, I'll put it down below in the comments and link to it. And honestly, that doesn't do anybody any good. And the reason for that is this. As I've mentioned in previous videos, when it comes to entertainment in particular, the motto usually always is the show must go on. WWE is contracted to the USA Network and to Fox to provide live shows. That's the agreement and the contract that we have. Now, I'm not going to put this on Vince's shoulders because for all we know, it's USA and Fox, or USA or Fox, putting pressure on Vince to say, look, we signed a contract for live shows. We want live shows. Your ad revenue is basically going down because of the fact that the shows aren't being watched as much as they were before. And if you don't start giving us live shows and bringing that back up, we're going to have to cut you. If they do that, we're not going to have a WWE to go back to in the long run, if that happens. So what I think we might see is fewer performers more regularly, or they will try to do what they can to get performers in here and there and try to extend the storylines out for as long as they can. It will be interesting to see how they handle it. I am not putting blame on anyone right now. I'm not even putting blame on USA or Fox because they have to make money. They have to be able to put things on their stations that are going to get people watching their channel. And if that doesn't happen, then the show gets cut. That's why we've lost so many shows in the past that we've all loved after only a season, because it wasn't bringing in the viewership that they wanted to see. Wrestling is no different. And if they are able to find performers that are willing to work and are capable of doing so, and they can do so in a way that is with the utmost safety, and I do not doubt, based on what we have seen already with these shows coming from the Performance Center, that they have done everything that they can to handle things in the absolute most professional and safe way they can. If they have performers that are willing to work, let them work, because that way we still have something to watch. And again, to go back to the fact that every other sport right now is canceled. Every other sport right now is on hiatus. We're not sure if we're going to get a baseball season. We're probably not. We're probably not going to get a hockey season. We don't even know yet if we're going to be able to get a full NFL season in the fall when football starts back up. So with all that being said, guys, let's take a breath. Let's understand the severity of the situation that we are all in and how it is impacting even things like this. And let's see what solutions there are that can be done that are safe and workable. Yes, the performers are well within their right as independent contractors to say, hey, look, I don't feel comfortable. I'm not going down to the Performance Center. And hopefully they are not held to a negative for that in the future. That's what I'm hoping comes out of this. But we'll have to see how that goes. In the meantime, for all of us in the WWE, we just need to take a breath, chill out, enjoy what we have, appreciate what we have, because we're the only thing right now that's getting new content, and go from there. So hopefully, guys, this has been somewhat informative and at least somewhat entertaining for you, especially if you are looking for a bit more of a female perspective. Most of my videos are going to be focused on the storyline aspects of the feuds and the fights and the things that are going on within wrestling. One of the things I know I need to start watching more is NXT, to add that in, and I do hopefully want to start watching AEW as well, so I can start giving opinions there in addition to just the WWE. But for now, it's going to be WWE focused. And because of that, I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed this video, if you would like to see more content, please, again, hit the subscribe button below and the notification bell so that you can be updated when I upload a new video. I'm hoping to do so every weekly with these weekly reviews. And if you have liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, because that helps me as well. And I would like to be able to provide you guys with more content. So that being said, guys, if I don't see you until then, have a great week and enjoy.